Coming to you from Crash Studios in Music City, USA, Nashville. This is the Rich Redmond Show. On this episode, hit recording artist, songwriter, and architect of rock and roll, Billy Burnette. And now, Rich Redmond.
What is up, everyone? This is Rich Redmond, and this is the Rich Redmond Show coming to you from Brentwood, Tennessee. Yes, Crash Studio. And we are so excited about this episode today because what do we talk about on this show? Everyone's like, what's the theme, Rich? I say, well, this is a free-flowing conversation. That's a tongue twister, right, Joe?
It really is.
Free-flowing, Mr. Voiceover, conversation with musicians, producers, singers, songwriters, actors, comedians, thought leaders, and we're going to learn something. We're going to laugh. We might cry.
We might.
We are definitely going to have fun. And we're so excited today because I have wanted to have this gentleman on my show for such a long time. He is ingrained in the fabric of rock and roll. He got his break at such a young age. He saw all the velvet rope eras of the music industry. He's more relevant than ever. He's always putting out records. He's worked as a recording and touring artist under his own name. He's backed up bands like Fleetwood Mac.
Well, I was a member.
You remember Fleetwood Mac, but you also worked with Dylan. You also worked with Fogerty. Just a couple of small names in the music industry. Roger Miller. Yeah. And you also wrote hit songs for the likes of Rod Stewart to George Strait and everyone in between. My guest today, Mr. Billy Burnette.
How you doing, Rich?
Thank you for being here, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
This is so wonderful. Really fantastic.
Thank you.
And we're so excited today as well because we have our first sponsor. This is
exciting news.
Yeah, we're like 15, 16 episodes in here. And my friend Angie and Kelly McCright over at the Nashville and Franklin School of Rock came to the rescue and said, Rich, you know, we're a big believer in music education. You're a product of music education. We want to get in there. So if you guys want to take your kids and do something really special, they want to learn how to sing. They want to learn how to play drums, bass, guitar, play keyboards. They want to be in a social setting. I think music teaches us so many great things, Jim. It teaches us how to interact with human beings and set goals and get over hurdles. So even if your kids never go on to be professional musicians, they're going to get so much out of the School of Rock program. There's 2 locations in town. There's School of Rock Franklin and School of Rock Nashville. And if you're interested in signing up, and check this out, guys, there's 250 locations worldwide. 30,000 students are involved in the program. And Angie and Kelly McCright are cranking out always the all-stars, man. They always have the best program. So if you're interested in signing up your kids, check out the School of Rock Franklin and School of Rock Nashville. And the best email addresses are franklin@schoolofrock.com and nashville@schoolofrock.com. And you can give them a call at 615-221-9700. Thank you much. That's the School of Rock.
School of Rock.
Thank you, School of Rock. Hey. All right. And now on with the show, as they say. So we had to tweak our little format today, man. We have a format now.
We actually have like organization.
This is fantastic.
It's crazy.
So Billy, tell us, you know, everybody says, you know, give us the backstory. How did it all begin? But where do you want to start today? What's going on with your life, man?
Well, I was born into it. My dad and uncle were, you know, down in Memphis. I was born in Memphis, 1953, and they were already into it by then.
Right.
You know, so they were like, I think they wrote the song Rockabilly Boogie, which my cousin Rocky was born a month after me, and they wrote that song about us. So that's what made the name kind of famous, the Rockabilly Boogie thing. So well, I started out as a small child.
You don't say.
I mean, we were just talking. You had your first recording session as an artist at 7 years old.
Yeah, I was signed to Dot Records. I did a Christmas record with the Rick Nelson Band. It was Rick's whole band because my dad had written It's Late and Believe What You Say and some of Rick's big hits, you know. So we used his band, went in, and you can put it on today. It sounds like a Rick Nelson record. It's fun. It's a Christmas record called Hey Daddy, I'm Gonna Tell Santa on You.
Ooh.
You know, for taking his toys and all kind of stuff like that.
I love that. I love those kind of tongue-in-cheek Christmas songs. That's amazing. And so Johnny, so it was Paul, Johnny, and your dad, right?
Yes.
And they were the They were the
Rock and Roll Trio.
The Rock and Roll Trio.
It was. Then they changed it to Johnny
Rock and Roll.
Burnette and the Rock and Roll Trio.
Right.
I think that's about when my dad left.
And I mean, everybody was aware of them. I mean, they were first on the scene. Really, no one was playing this kind of music.
In fact, I think Led Zeppelin worked up their first song was Train Kept a Rollin'. And that was the version that
Aerosmith did it as well, right?
Aerosmith did as well, yes.
And then the Beatles were fans.
Yes.
Of your
Beatles
family.
cut one of their songs, Lonesome Tears in My
So
Eyes.
this is the legacy that you're coming from. And so you're born in Memphis, and you're one of 7.
One of 7. Oldest of 7.
God bless your mom.
Yeah, I talked to her last night. She's still rocking, yeah.
And so, for me, are we this? I'm Italian Irish. Are you got a little Italian?
I'm
in there?
Italian Irish.
Right. So I'm Italian Irish.
Yeah.
And so people are like, you eat Italian and you act Italian, and you talk with your hands, but your last name doesn't match. And I was like, I get it. I get it.
You think it might be Bernetti. But my mom's maiden name was Giacalini.
Giacalini.
And there's a whole bunch of Italians in Memphis. In fact, my Uncle Joe was one that had a place called Coletta's in Memphis and invented the barbecue pizza.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
There's so much. I mean, and all the places. I'm reading your book. Where is your book? It's right here. Look at this. Now, this is something to be proud of. Crazy like me, folks. Look at that. And did you self-publish? Can people find this the world over? And this is I got it from. You know, it's so funny. Right before you sent me this copy in such a timely manner, I downloaded it to my Kindle. From Amazon.
Really?
Boom, it goes right to my iPad. Yeah. But you know what I really realized is that I really enjoy the visceralness of the real book. And I was highlighting things on the plane last night and everything. So at some point, everybody who's as accomplished as you has to write a book. When did you crank this out? It was 6 years ago, right?
Well, I started it years ago, and then I took a little break from it because it was not going well. So I started over and kind of got into it and decided I'm going to do this.
Right.
You know, so it was just one of those things to where, in fact, as I think back now, I've left out a lot of stuff. In fact, one girlfriend is still mad at me because I didn't put our picture from one of the BMI awards in it, and I meant to, but it was a mistake.
Hey, and there's a couple of marriages in here, man. I don't.
Couple of what?
A couple of marriages.
Marriages, yes. I was married twice.
Because we were now. This is.
I think I've maybe given that up for now. Been married enough.
You know what's really funny is that we're both Italian Irish.
Yeah.
We didn't get the last name.
Yeah.
And you were walking in, you're like, "What is this? Do you live here?" And I was, "This is my divorce house."
Yeah.
So, but I still stop by to do the Rich Redmond show.
Yeah. Great place.
Thank you. It's so funny, man. Yeah, a lot of commonalities, and all the places you've lived in all these cultural epicenters for music. You're from Memphis. What a rich tradition there. You were in Los Angeles in the heydays in the 80s and 90s.
That was really a paradise and really a wonderful place to be.
Before it became too saturated and overcrowded.
Yeah, now it's too crowded.
It's so crowded.
Nashville's too crowded.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, and you moved here in 93? Have you been here since 93? Or I
moved back here in 93. I first came to Nashville in 72 because I was down in Memphis with Chip Smallman, who was an accomplished producer, produced Elvis and B.J. Thomas. And they did records like The Letter and all them great records they did down there with the American Rhythm section,
Right.
So I was really lucky. I was a week out of high school, had a deal with Columbia Records with Chips, So my dad took me down to meet him, and I moved to Memphis, back to Memphis at 18.
So it was Memphis, Nashville, L.A., Nashville. But that's why people are like, what do you, because I kind of split my time between here and Nashville, Los Angeles, and I feel like, it is super crowded, but I still reap the benefits of being in a cultural city like that. It's such a melting pot in the food and the fashion, and it just kind of seeps into your DNA.
Yeah.
But your family, your dad moved you guys to Compton, right?
We moved out to LA, Compton at first,
And that was probably a different Compton back then.
There was one of the first McDonald's, I think, right around the area, and it was, we were just starting, so we all lived in one house, my grandparents, John and his kids, and my dad and his kids, so it was a lot of people in one house. And then we moved to the Hollywood Hills in an apartment when they had their first Rick Nelson royalty check. And then they had some hits of their own, like You're 16 and that kind of stuff.
And your axe at 7 years old was the guitar, right? I mean, that was your...
You know what? I didn't pick up the guitar till I was a teenager, actually.
So what did you just were you just singing?
I was just singing, yeah.
Singing melodies.
I just sang, and I did... I had a few moves. I went on the road with Brenda Lee when I was 13.
You know what's so funny? I'm reading this. Vicky Carrico, right?
Yes.
So Vicky Carrico is my next neighbor.
Really?
Door. She lives right 50 feet away from me.
Yeah.
And so I'm always, when I used to live here full time, I was like, what are you doing for that? I was like, we're doing a Brenda Lee tour, Christmas tour.
Oh, really?
So she lives right next door.
Yeah.
So crazy. So I think we're going to lead up to our first break.
Yeah.
This is like, and Jim, with our new format today, I forgot to introduce you, but ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jim McCarthy.
Thank you very much.
Jim McCarthy voiceovers.
Hold on. I have to get this. No, that's not the one. No, that's probably the one.
We really have to label those.
I know. We really got to
maybe when we get the next board, we'll label them.
The next board. It's on its way.
So yeah, let's hear a little bit from our friends at the School of Rock.
Be right back.
The Rich Redmond Show. We'll be right back.
Learn by doing, I definitely think resonates with what we're about here at the School of Rock. I'm Angie McCright, and I'm the owner of the School of Rock in Franklin and Nashville. I would say that the majority of kids that come in have either been sitting in their bedrooms, watching YouTube, learning how to play, or they've taken music lessons at some point in their life. We do have a lot of beginners. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You can participate in our programs, whether you're a beginner or you're advanced. We don't teach music to put on shows. We put on shows to teach music.
Connect with School of Rock today. Search School of Rock Franklin or Nashville. This is the Rich Redmond Show.
So Billy, we were talking about, you just started singing. You had the music in you. Were you the black sheep? Was there anybody else in the, your other siblings that were?
My younger brother was an engineer, and my younger brothers, they all dabble in it, Mm-hmm. John, my brother, he's into it.
But Paul was the engineer, right? Was that his name? Which brother was the engineer?
Patrick.
That's right.
Yeah, and he did some stuff with Joan Jett and the Blasters,
Mm-hmm.
and he did all that kind of stuff that was going around L.A. at the time.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on then.
So much going on.
Yeah.
I mean, sessions booked on Christmas.
God, it was crazy.
It was like the golden era. Well, talk about that a little bit. Like, you're singing melodies, you're learning your guitar. What happens in Compton? What's the next step?
We moved to the Hollywood.
Okay, and that was probably like another world.
It was really great. It was so beautiful. We lived up by the observatory.
Yeah.
There, what do they call that area?
Griffith
there?
Park.
Yeah, Griffith Park.
Yeah.
There. So we lived in an apartment there, and then from there we moved to the Valley, to San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
So I'm basically grown up in the Valley.
That's where we all
Valley
end up.
boy.
That's where we all, the musicians,
Chasing Valley girls.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's fantastic. And then how did the relationship with, you said you were a good friend of Mick Fleetwood's.
Yes.
How did that relationship?
That started about 82 or 83. We met at a Dick Clark 25-year anniversary. And me and Rocky and myself had both done the show. And so Mick sat at our table that night. Mm. And Rocky had done a couple opening slots for Fleetwood Mac at the time. So next thing I know, I get a call from Mick. And Mick said, hey, you want to join a band? And I said, well, don't you already have one?
Right.
So it was a band called The Zoo.
Yeah.
Which we called it the Cholos at first, and Lindsey Buckingham was in it.
The Cholos.
Yeah, so they hired me first to do the Saturday Night Live, and we did I Think I'm in Trouble with Lindsey. Mm-hmm. And then we kept the band together. I think we did like 2 records for RCA. And then we went on the road with the Beach Boys, and I think Mick and I were fired off that tour for moonwalking in a restaurant one night.
Moonwalking?
We were late. They said we were late for a show, but we were kind of set up, I think it was set up. And
Such a tall
that was
guy.
the one night that we were all, sober and ready to go,
Right.
We'd done our rock in the last few nights, and we always had a night where we had to get serious for the show. We would kind kind of got serious. I did anyway.
Right. He's such a
Mick
tall
never
man.
did.
How tall is he?
Hey, we did like an iHeartRadio thing last year.
He's 6'7".
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
It was so funny. He played, and when I play, I just overheat, man. I got 60-degree air blowing on me back there. Someone actually put a cape on him after he played, like his drum tech or his handler or someone.
Yeah.
He played, and they put a cape on him. I was like, this is like James Brown revisited.
Wow.
It was crazy. And your relationship with Fleetwood Mac, you were in many incarnations of the band, right? In various tours over the years.
Yeah, I joined in 87.
Wow.
To take Lindsay's place.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick Vito joined with me, great guitar player. And I just kind of was a fan.
Right.
So I was in the band, and I'd start working with Christine McVie. And with Stevie, I did a duet with Stevie before I joined the band. So I was already in the kind of family. And I'd sang on a couple of Fleetwood Mac records at the time. Just backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah, and I really like this story that you have, this business model of yours, which is you've always functioned as a recording artist in your own right.
Yeah.
You've always been in bands. You're willing to go out as a hired gun and use your God-given talents to bring
For the right price.
For the right to bring other people's music to life.
Yeah.
And then all the while writing multi-genre music for pop stars, rock stars, and country stars.
Yeah.
And that's a great model because people are like, you just got to pick a lane, do one thing. I feel like you were way ahead of the curve because nowadays you have to do everything just to survive.
Yeah, we've all reinvented ourselves, so to speak.
Right. And some other people that you worked with for a long time, you have a long-time relationship with John Fogerty.
Oh, yeah. I was with John for 6 years. Great artist.
I'm sure I saw you in one of those shows at some point. And we're talking about our mutual friend Kenny Aronoff.
Kenny Aronoff, yeah.
Yeah, and just the work ethic, is what I stole from him.
Great guy, great drummer.
Totally. And I had him come out and work with my students at the 2016. I had a drummers weekend Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And so he was one of my many teachers, and he did his medley of hits and got to hang out with the kids and answer questions and took pictures with them.
Yeah, he's great.
It was a really great time.
Yeah.
Totally good. And Bob Dylan, you said you were
I
going to go out with
did
him.
New Zealand and Australia with Bob.
He's such an enigma.
And I went with John Fogerty right after that. But it was great being with Bob. It was great. It was a great experience. And,
hello.
We may do it again here someday. So.
You changed the music world forever. Your family changed the music world forever. Bob changed the music world. Everyone you worked with and are friends with and have relationships with are it's the glowing Mount Rushmore of music.
I had met Bob the first time was in Hollywood at it was up in the hills of Hollywood and was at one of them wild parties, and here comes T-Bone Burnette and Roger McGuinn and Bob Dylan.
Right.
So Bob corners me and kind of says, "Did you know your dad wrote the first ecology song with Tall Oak Tree?" And I go, "I didn't know that." And it was a hit at the time. And I'm not at that time. It was a hit in the early 60s. And Bob knew the song, knew all about it. And so I called my dad the next day and I told him the story. And he was thrilled to death, that Bob Dylan had, really liked one of his songs a lot.
Yeah. And the Beatles were fans of your
Beatles.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be a name dropper. Paul McCartney told me that, by the way.
Hey.
But I met Paul one night at the Paul McCartney and Wings concert, and he kind of pulled me aside. He held my hand for the longest time while he was talking to somebody. And I went to introduce myself, and he goes, "I know who you are, mate. I keep up."
Yes.
So I was with Mick Fleetwood at that night. And Paul said, me and John and I used to get up. Our favorite record every morning was the Rock and Roll Trio. And they ended up cutting one of their songs from that record. And there's a little snippet on the BBC tapes that says this is a John and Dorsey record song.
Right.
That was written back in 19 or 18 something, and then they're laughing. And they did the song.
Yeah. That Jim, I think you had a question.
Well, I was actually kind of, coming up, it seemed like early on in your career that your life was evidently a lot different than I guess your contemporaries, your other kids that you might have played with. Was it kind of apparent that you were, being in music and everything as much as you were in Compton and before you moved on to Hollywood?
That you had a gift.
That your family was different, I would imagine.
Yeah, I really got into it when, I was into it from the get-go,
Yeah.
I kind of got up with the rock and roll trio when I was 3.5 and did Hound Dog with
So it
them,
just didn't seem different to you at all?
So it just seemed like everybody had because over breakfast we talk about how the records are doing or how the gig was last night,
That's really
I thought everybody did that,
Right.
I thought that was just normal conversation.
Yeah.
Where's the record in the charts today, and where's this and that, and,
It wasn't normal
and who cut
conversation.
this, and I thought that everybody did that, So it was like it was just normal for me.
Yeah.
When did it
It's
occur
kind of
to
part
you?
of my DNA,
Yeah, but did it occur to you at some point that you were like, wow,
I'm
I
still
have
not
a pretty extraordinary
I
life
should,
here?
I should have been more serious about the whole thing and paid more attention to everything.
But maybe
I'd have
that's
probably been a lot better off.
It just
if I had.
your life just unraveled in a beautiful way.
Yeah,
in front of you.
I've been very blessed.
Well,
let's say
were there challenges? I mean, we were talking a little bit about I've been married twice, and and it's hard to, like, when we were building the early days of Aldine, we were talking about Aldine. I've been with him for 20 years,
Yeah.
and when we were first touring in 2004, 5, 6, 7. Thanks, bud. Get that chicken breast.
There you go.
Palm away from the microphone. We were talking about, we're doing over 200 shows a year.
Yeah.
And I'm a newlywed, and I get my wife a cat, and I say, "This is your new friend," because I'm so glad that we had this great honeymoon, and now this is your new friend. And then I laughed. That's really hard.
Yeah.
How can we expect our partners to put up with that?
It is tough. I mean, with Fleetwood Mac, we used to have a family week where we'd bring out the family for a week.
Oh my God!
I think we did that twice a year, and during that time we'd tour it was 3 months on, 10 days off.
Wow.
So we had a break, so we'd do 3 months, 10 days off, and do that for a year.
Yeah.
So we did that while I was with them. We did that about every year.
I bet that 10 days you didn't do anything but try to sleep in your own bed and just catch
I
up.
was kind of getting into it to where I was kind of like, I was working all the time. If I wasn't working with Fleetwood Mac, I was doing my own record, So there was, I did have some time. I said, I made the mistake one day of saying, I was sitting out by my pool in LA and out in Woodland Hills, and I said, God, does life get any better than this? And I shouldn't have said that because it all fell apart after.
What was the challenge? Now that's the dream. It's like the California dream, and it's like, you're in the San Fernando Valley, but you have a beautiful pool and you have a palm tree. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, pretty nice.
Yeah.
And lived in Malibu for a while, and I loved that.
I know. I was reading about your love affair with Malibu, and every time I go out, it's like a God thing, and I put my toes in the sand, and you're looking out at this. There's the city lights are behind you, and then you're looking at the ocean, and then more city lights cresting off in the distance. It's a magical place.
I grew up, in the fires and the earthquakes and all the disasters we've had out there, and you just wrote them out, You
wrote them out.
In fact, our house in Malibu, I think it left. It burned down in one of the fires because we were right on the hill across the street from the beach there. But it was a great place to live for a while, and it was like paradise, really.
Yeah. I mean, they named a car after it. Come on.
Yeah. That's right. I forgot. Did they name it after
The
that?
Chevy Malibu.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or as Hal Bowman calls it, the Halibu.
That's great. And so you think you're going to try to get back there at some point?
I love L.A. I was a song, wasn't it?
That was.
We love that.
Fleetwood Mac sang on that record.
Randy Newman, I believe.
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah, they all sang on that record.
That's
Backgrounds?
Yeah, background. I love L.A.
It's got
we
a
love
killer.
It. Yeah.
Really, that the hook to that song is killer.
So they all sang that we love it, So it is it's a magical place, It's one of those energy points in the world.
It's an energy
like
point.
Nashville is, like New York is, L.A. is, and we take that. Seems like these cities take their turns. San Francisco was hot for a while. Mm-hmm. Memphis was hot for a while. L.A. was hot for a while. Nashville's hot now.
Seattle.
I think Nashville's become the music capital of the world.
I think it's the last train stops here. Yeah, I just got back from San Francisco last night. I got off the plane at 1 a.m.
Really?
And I got my teeth cleaned today at 7:30. Am I crazy? Do you guys get the gas for your teeth? You know,
I do.
The laughing gas?
I have to have the gas.
I have to
for
have
everything.
it, and I love it.
Yeah.
But they make me feel like I'm a leper or a stepchild or something. I'm like, no, I will pay the money. I don't care.
Yeah.
Get the tanks.
Yeah.
Oh,
For a teeth cleaning?
I get the gas.
Yeah, I have it for teeth cleaning.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Old school, man.
Oh, that's like, to me, that's kind of painful when they're poking around your mouth.
Yeah,
Like that, you know?
and then you're envisioning what's going on in there.
Yeah.
When you get the gas, it's just like you're just dreaming of some other place.
I got a cavity filled without Novocaine once.
Oh, what are you crazy?
Really? Without?
Yeah. I popped in for an afternoon filling, and he goes, "This is a surface level thing. You don't really need. I can do Novocaine, but you don't really need it. You just want me to go ahead and do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, go ahead."
Did it hurt?
No, that was fine.
Wow.
Oh my god!
You feel the little pressure and
Yeah.
the
No thanks. No. you gotta drug me, guys.
Yeah.
Sedation.
Self-medicate.
not a big fan of someone working on your teeth.
I'm not a pain guy. You know when Rambo's doing surgery on himself in the jungle?
Yeah.
That would never be me.
Oh, yeah, me neither.
I'll just die.
I'd rather just die.
I'd rather go through the sepsis.
Yeah, so I just was in San Francisco last night, and it's a beautiful city, and the weather was absolutely perfect, and it's just a very open-minded city. Anything goes. The hills. It's really, we had some really great food. It was a work and vacation.
Yeah.
Or a little work retreat.
I feel like my whole life's been a vacation.
I really
That's
like.
awesome.
We have to go to sound check, and we have to go do our
then we
show.
can hang out and see the town.
There's a lot of hanging.
Did you get rice-a-roni
We don't,
while you're there?
You're so obvious.
we,
joke.
we'd always have 2 or 3 days off.
There we go.
You know,
Yeah.
because we did 2 on, or 3 on, 2 off.
Right.
So we'd have a couple of nights. To
Yeah, that's
stretch
kind of always been our motto: is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, come home on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then if we're really working it, there might be a Wednesday through Sunday. But then and where Nashville is so central, you come home on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
Where I have like a lot of my New York and LA based friends.
That's good.
They just
See,
stay
we never
out.
did that. We stayed out. Yeah.
They just stay out.
Yeah.
And that's how I've been able to maintain a little bit of a.
Yeah.
That's why I really respect that balance, that you've kind of been juggling all the different revenue streams that you can create for yourself in the music business,
Yeah.
being a recording artist, being a writer, being a sideman, and
Yeah.
being part of a band.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love it all. I mean, I've done a little acting. I've done about 6 movies.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun to me.
Yeah.
You know, anything that's a creative process. And
Did you get your SAG card?
yes,
Good.
Nice.
I was so excited the day I got my SAG button. You know, you get a button.
Yeah,
That was really exciting.
I know.
I wore it for a while. Everybody said, "What are you wearing that for?"
You wore it on your jacket. I got mine earlier this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Little goals. Yes, I said to myself, hey, I don't have a lot of time to pursue this full time, but through my relationships, I was like, okay, I'm in a horror movie that's on Netflix. Check. I'm on a hit TV show on cable.
Okay.
Check. I
Yeah.
did it, and I got my card. And now I'm looking for new opportunities and educating myself, taking classes and all that kind of stuff. And there's a nice acting community here in Nashville, but I like studying out on the left coast because everyone is so serious about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's all they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Which makes you better.
Yeah.
You know, the people you surround yourself with.
I grew up in LA, and I didn't do a movie till I moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
The crazy thing is I tell everybody, look, if you live in Nashville long enough, you will write a song. If you live in Los Angeles long enough, you will act in someone's movie. It could be a student film.
Yeah.
It could be somebody's project. You're going to be in something.
I have a funny story about acting. You ever hear of Miller's Thrillers down in Spring Hill?
Yeah, Jim was you were the host, right?
I was the MC, and
cool.
it's amazing how much these people really get into dressing up and coming up with zombie characters for themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, they get
like
into it.
backstories and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like I was a 401k guy.
Yeah.
And I died and.
Well, I mean, one of the guys, they all have their own characters, and they're telling me, well, as an MC, you have to have your own character. I'm going, but you hired me. It's me doing the MCing. This is falling back on my radio training of conducting an event, right?
Yes, right.
So they said, well, you got to put makeup on. I'm going, oh, right.
You did it. I
did.
saw it.
So, I put the makeup on. They put makeup on me, and you really do get into it after a while. But once the mic is on, they got their voices and they're talking like this all the time. It's just,
They're not breaking character.
They're not. Yeah. They don't. Even when there's nobody around, they're not breaking character.
Yeah.
I'm going, wow. This is really. What's been the biggest challenge in acting for you? Like I would say, for me, it's like finding that character, and it's just me,
Yeah.
That level of pretend.
I like to pretend, but I think that I have such a strong personality, and I think you might agree with me. The way you might approach it as well is you're really playing a variation of your true essence yourself.
Yeah. I had an acting coach for my first film. Was a lead role, So had an acting coach for a month, so I got to kind of back into it.
Yeah.
But, my most challenging scene was I arrived one morning at like 5:00 in the morning for makeup, and I go, "Where are we working today?"
Yeah.
And they go, "You're working right there," and it was a rocket launching pad out in Vandenberg in L.A. outside of L.A. So, and I'm scared of heights, and we had to go up like a 10-story rocket launching pad and work on there.
I don't like heights either.
I had to rappel off of it.
My God.
It's like crazy, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what film was that, your first one, where you played lead?
My first one was Saturday Night Special.
Okay, yes.
That was about a rockabilly singer.
Can people still check that out?
It was like The Postman Always Rings Twice, yeah.
Yeah.
It's on, you can watch the whole thing on YouTube.
On YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. And
I'll do that.
It's gotten like millions of views.
That's great.
I'm going, where's the cash, man?
We sign our lives away, man.
That. I don't know why. But.
We just did some taping the other day, and it was like a new media thing. It's like, hey, this new record is coming out, and we're gonna film a 10-song concert, and we're gonna capture it on 10 cameras, and it's gonna run on all these video screens all over the United States. And then there was a girl with a card, and I was like, oh my God, we're getting paid for this. This is great, because there's so many ways that media companies can like not pay talent.
Yeah.
They can get around it.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Let's finish that. Like, what is that like working with? Is he a kind man?
He was a very nice person. Yeah. And he was he knew my dad and uncle's music and was aware of that. He was a big Rick Nelson fan, and my dad had written my uncle had written 6 or 7 of his biggest hits. So we knew Rick. Rick and I have the same birthday. May 8th. So I know his kids, see them all the time, and one of them used to live here for a while, Gunnar or Matthew.
Yeah.
Both of them were here. But Bob was great. I mean, he's, I love his, I got getting into his music like I did to join the band. I think I learned 120 songs or something like that.
I like how the story in the book, and a lot of these stories that we're discussing right now are in this wonderful book. And you showed up, and because they hadn't sent you anything, right?
They sent me all of his records, which are none of the
live versions.
None of the live versions. Yeah, you have to learn.
Tempos.
In fact, the guys then told me now there's YouTube.
Yeah.
So YouTube's what's great about YouTube is you can go on there and learn from the actual performances.
Yeah.
Back then you couldn't, but I mean, just then that was just 2003. I was with them. And I got carpal tunnel doing that gig because I learned so many songs. I stayed in my room learning songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just from that one experience. You hadn't had any signs of it before.
He would call out that you didn't get the set till 20 minutes before you went on.
So he decided it changed every night.
Yeah.
Doesn't that create a level of panic with the band?
It does a bit, yeah. I mean, for me, big time. I hear it's wow. It's a lot different now, so he's sticking to mainly the set and whatever. But
I have a feeling that just like sticking, I know Springsteen and there's 3-hour shows, they're notorious, but
yeah,
I just think you're going to have a tighter show if you know the day before what your thing is going to be.
Well, with Fleetwood Mac, we'd go out, we'd start the tour, and we'd drop all we had some new songs that we wanted to do in the show. And we dropped them after the first night. And we had, they had so many hits, it was like you look on the board. We had a board where we put them up on, and we just do all the hits. With them, it's really easy because they've had so many. And so many albums that I think Rumors was number 1 for a year.
It's incredible.
So
it still holds up.
It's the whole album's a hit.
The whole album's a hit. Yeah, it's so funny. I've recorded The Chain about 4 times with different chick singers on their.
Yeah, we do. I think that was one of our openers for a long time.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Wow. I love all these stories.
I've backsold a few Fleetwood Mac songs.
Really?
Yeah, on radio. Just a few. I was on classic rock radio in Connecticut.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So we, I front sold and back sold quite a few.
Yeah. It was kind of a scary thing, the Fleetwood Mac deal, because we didn't know what was going to happen. Even the band. We didn't know until our first gig because Lindsay and Stevie had been there so long. And I joined when Stevie was with the band. Actually, with Lindsay got me into the band, actually, to do Saturday Night Live.
Oh.
So I'd got to be part of the family, really. So it was time to make a change. They wanted somebody that they were comfortable with. And
it always comes down to that relationship.
I was lucky and blessed enough to fall into that slot,
Yeah.
It was an interesting culture.
So I was there from from 87 to 95.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
David Santos had that interesting story. Well, every time he would go back to tell the story, he would bounce all over the place.
David was with us with John Fogerty.
Did that line up the same time? You in the band with David for Fogerty? David Santos?
Yes, I was.
So it was you, David, Kenny. Matt Nolan?
Matt Nolan,
Yeah.
We had a good band.
Yeah.
It was a good band. Rockin' band.
Yeah.
Bob Britt was there for a while. Then Hunter Perrin came in. Bob is now out with Bob Dylan.
He's out with Dylan?
Yeah.
Nice.
And Bob's a great guitar player. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just looking at this discography here and then listening to the new record. It's kind of interesting. This is a little bit of a gray area. I think it's an ask for permission. Just don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness with playing songs on a podcast.
I think if you keep it within a certain amount of time.
Can we play some of your music from your record?
Play whatever you want.
Crazy Like Me. Now, if we had
Crazy Like Me is the name of the album, and that song's been cut by Willie Nelson.
Okay.
It was on he makes so many records. I think it was like 2 or 3 records ago. He cut it, and Jerry Lee Lewis just cut it.
Really?
In fact, Jim Keltner and Ron Wood did the track with him on it. And
wow.
Yeah, they've cut it, and I just heard a rough of it, So
nice. Kellner is nice. He and I split a cheesecake
He's a really
one night.
nice guy, and a great drummer.
Great drummer.
Yeah.
To be a first call drummer in the Los Angeles music scene for over 4 decades.
Yeah.
You're doing something right.
He played on, there was a song that Roy Orbison cut of mine that we wrote for Roy Orbison. Me and David Malloy and myself wrote it for Roy. It's the one song we wrote for an artist to be cut by an artist.
Yeah, when I moved to Nashville, Dave Malloy was a name I heard a lot.
Yeah, he was like
very active.
The Wonder Boy.
Very, very active.
He did all the Eddie Rabbit stuff.
Right.
A lot of Dolly and Kenny Rogers and all kinds.
And then River of Love was a song you wrote that was it was George Strait's 57th number 1 song on his 57. He was 57 at the time.
Yeah.
Great song. Great
Thank
song.
you.
If we had to play a song for Crazy Like Me, what should we do?
Probably Crazy Like Me.
Okay. Let's do
Title track.
Here we go.
Is that a train beat shuffle?
Yes.
Nice.
It's a swamp thing.
Cause you're hotter than a 4th of July. Like it cause you got that wild look in your eye. Like it cause you're reckless and free as a breeze. But I love you cause you're crazy like a bee.
Mrs. Keltner on the track?
No, that's actually Dave Rowe's son.
Jerry Rowe.
Yeah, Jerry Rowe. Yeah, that's right.
Rich is going to know who it is.
Love you cause you're crazy like a bee. I know your mama don't care for me much, but I believe you.
That's Bekka Bramlett.
They're both thinking we're
We had a thing called Bekka Billy.
Really?
Nice live fade, Jim.
Love it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like the Jerry Rowe. I met him 20 years ago when he was a teen.
Oh yeah.
And he got a lot of experience around town playing, and then he went to LA for about 7 years. He's back doing so well.
Yes.
And he was in Modern Drummer magazine. He was just in the latest issue.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Good for him.
I know, totally great.
Good guy, good drummer.
I love that feel, man. It's like, it's swampy, it's murky, it's greasy, it's dipped in chicken fat, it's got some bourbon spilt on it.
And that's Kenny Vaughan on guitar on that. Kenny Vaughan, myself, and Dave Rowe.
Yeah.
And Bekka Bramlett sang with me on I think most of the backgrounds on the record.
Father and son on bass and drums. That's a good
her
character.
and I had I was one of my favorite bands growing up was Delaney and Bonnie and Friends.
Right.
So I got the opportunity to work with them, and I met with Bekka.
That was Becca's
She was
mom.
3.5.
Right. Right. And then you guys had an act, Nashville act.
Yeah. So she did the last couple of years of Fleetwood Mac. She joined the band. And took Stevie had left the band, so Christine was still there but didn't want to tour. So we did actually a tour with Dave Mason and the rest of Fleetwood Mac for that, I think, 95 or 95. So Bekka was in that. And then we did a record for A&M here in Nashville, which Garth Fundis produced.
Nice.
It was called Bekka Billy.
Yeah. Now, is that on Spotify?
Yes.
It is?
Yeah.
Let's look this up.
Should be.
So was there a moment in your life that you were like, wow, look at all these people I'm playing with, that I'm associated with?
Fleetwood Mac was pretty overwhelming.
I bet.
I mean, we did Wembley Stadium for 127,000 people.
Oh my gosh.
And
good.
Made a lot of money.
Now, these first 5 tracks that come up on Spotify are Believe What You Say, your version of Ring of Fire, Hot Rod Hillbilly. Was this one of your first singles, Believe What You Say?
No, that was actually a Rick Nelson hit. That was off one of my records. Yeah.
That's going back. Rock and Roll With It, that's going back a couple of years, right?
Yeah, it's going back a few. Yeah, that's like 10 years, I think.
And what's the one on that one to play?
Rock and Roll With It. I like My Love Will Not Change on that one.
Did I see that? Oh, yeah. Here we go. I got cataract in my left eye.
Yeah.
Not good.
Oh, really? Yeah. I've got one. I've got 2 or whatever.
Got to get it taken off.
I've got to get it. Yeah.
Another train beat.
Who has time?
Seasons come and the seasons go, and the reasons you left us I'll never know. There will be others, yes I know it's true. They won't do you like I did for you. My love will not change, my love will not change. It just rolls like the river to the sea of good me. My love will not change, my love will not change. It's as steady as the rhythm of the pouring rain.
Now I got a question for you, Rich. What goes through your mind when you hear a song like that? What are you paying attention to?
I'm listening to everything, just the vibe and the character of his voice. Mm-hmm. It's like so unique and it's gritty. And Did you feel like your voice have changed over the years?
Oh yeah, it's changed a few times.
Yeah.
In fact, when it made the major, like from going from a kid to it was a little rough area right there. I don't think I worked very much. But then I got back into it when I was 18 and it had changed. Well, it sounds different to me now, so I don't know. I guess it does, I feel better when I'm working every night as a singer.
Yeah.
Like when I'm doing like something like for a few months and it takes me a while to get into it, then I'm really comfortable with it,
Are you one of those guys that I feel like sometimes when I'm not in my craft, like say I'm it's a night off and I know I probably should just enjoy myself and watch a little bit of Netflix. Do you have that performer's guilt? Like I should be entertaining someone right now.
Not anymore. I used to.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I'm glad to be home right now. It's for a while, you know. Mm-hmm. And
you got some sons, right? It's a couple.
I have two sons.
Two sons, right?
And they're my son, Bo Burnette has a band.
Great.
And Billy Jr., he has a band. He had a band also for a while there, but he works for me now and runs the songs. And
good.
Helps me out there. And my son Bo is actually pursuing his band, which is called Hot Damn Burnette.
Hot Damn Burnette.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, are you still playing around Nashville doing your third and Lindsley's?
You know what? I do when I put out something. Mm-hmm. But I think people are over-entertained here. I think the people that work here all the time.
Right.
You know, been there, done that.
You want to make it an event when you do it. And they're just like, I'm playing Thursday at 3rd and Lindsley.
Yeah. I still do a lot of work in Europe. Like, I do a lot of Rockabilly festivals.
That's great.
Like, come May or June, I'll start and go over to Spain and Italy and a lot of in Scandinavia.
It's awesome. Now,
fact,
do you hire a local band over there, or you just fly the guys?
They have bands, and I have a band in Italy.
Yeah.
A band in Spain, and two of them in Sweden, and one in London.
That's cool.
So I can go over there and pick them up, because most of the Rockabilly festivals, they don't want to hear about anything about Fleetwood Mac or anything but Rockabilly.
Yeah.
You have to dress and look the part.
You got the cigarettes rolled up in the sleeve, and
they want the whole
pinup girls,
the whole thing. Yeah, the pinup girls,
the upright bass.
Yeah.
Now, were you friends with Setzer and the Stray Cats?
Oh yeah.
That was a thing.
In fact, my dad had a song on that album, "Built for Speed."
Oh my!
And I was with Columbia Records. Here's a story. They said, "Sorry, Billy, we don't think Rockabilly is going to happen again." You know. 5 months later, the Stray Cats come out with "Built for Speed" with one of my dad's songs on it, and it's like sold about 7-8 million records.
That was a thing, and it was like right at the birth of MTV.
They were huge, yeah. And Brian's played on my records, yeah. So in fact, I'm doing next week. I'm doing a something for Slim Jim. In fact, he's doing a documentary about the band.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah. So.
Slim Jim owned a club, I think, on Sunset for a while, right?
I think he was married to Brenda Lee and had a place in the Sunset. Yeah, what was the name of the place?
I don't remember. He had a place. I remember him.
Yeah. I remember going there and still don't remember it.
That's a ball and chain, being a restaurateur, nightclub owner.
Yeah.
Trusting your employees to not overpour.
Yeah.
But
tough business.
Oh, it is a tough one. But when it works, it works. Because we were talking yesterday, like, wouldn't it be nice to open like a great brunch spot like this? Look, there's a line out the door. Yeah, but when it doesn't work, it's bad news.
You're married to that business.
Oh my God. Now, what about all the songwriting? You're saying your son is helping run all that. That's an administrative thing. What is if looking back, all the people that you wrote for George Strait, you wrote for Rod Stewart, you wrote for, what are some of the big ones, the hallmarks that the audience can go and?
Well, my favorite cut that I think I've had was Tammy Wynette was one, of course, and it was a song I'd written when I was just a kid, when I'm a teenager or something, and probably one of my biggest copyrights is "Do I Ever Cross Your Mind" that Ray Charles and Bonnie Raitt did on the Genius Loves Company album.
Oh, gotcha.
And that won like 7 or 8 Grammys. And at the end of the show,
not bad,
Bonnie Raitt came out with Billy Preston and did Everybody That Passed Away that year at the Grammys. So I was like, I didn't go to the Grammys that year because I was sick and home up with the flu, sitting on the couch and watching all this stuff happen. And that was a big thrill to have Ray do one of my songs. He'd had a hit on it in '85.
When Ray Charles does one of your songs.
Yeah. And Bonnie Raitt happened to be at my house when I came in with the demo of it, or the record of it, and loved it. And they ended up doing it years and years later,
Yeah.
So that song's been a single by Cher. It's been cut by Tom Jones. It's still being cut. Somebody just cut it recently here. I cut it on my record,
Do I Ever Cross Your Mind? I almost want to play a little bit. Can I, Jim? Am I all right? Can I play some?
Be my guest.
I mean, just to hear this voice.
You have Ray's version on there?
You want me to find that one?
Yeah, the Ray version is the best. I think it's one of the best.
But I want people to hear you.
Yeah. You know what? To be honest, I mean, Ray, when he sang it, I tried to sing it like him. It influenced me so much. But it's a song I wrote with Michael Smotherman.
ever cross your mind? And darling, do you ever see
A little Elvis Costello right there.
some situation somewhere, somehow triggers your memory? And do you ever wonder what became of all the time? And darling, do I ever cross your mind?
It's beautiful.
They just don't make them like that anymore.
Wow.
They really don't.
Good job, my friend. Now, what are the insights? What are the insights looking back? Would you say you're 70 now? Are you 70 right now?
No, I'm 66.
66. Here I am
I just
rushing
turned
you.
66.
Here I am rushing you. Who's 70 that I was thinking of? A lot of my drum heroes are turning 70.
Yeah,
you know.
God.
You've got all these stories, all this success. You wrote it down in the book, and one reason for writing the book was you wanted to get it right for all time.
Yeah.
Get the facts
There
right.
was a lot of stuff, a lot of stories, especially about my dad and uncle. I kind of wanted to straighten out.
Yeah.
And they actually influenced, a lot of people don't know this, but they actually influenced Elvis a lot because they rehearsed in the Lauderdale courts. And he used to hang out there all the time. He was a couple of years younger than them.
Yeah.
And my mom played basketball with him, and they all knew each other. And then when he hit, they were kind of all hitting at the same time. I think my dad and uncle even recorded a record and had a regional hit. In fact, it's in one of the Elvis movies where he's sitting on the porch there at the Crown Electric Company. And my dad was an electrician also. So they had similar...
Yeah, Elvis was working for the...
Crown Electric.
Yeah, Crown Electric.
So they got to know him, and if you listen to his early stuff and my dad and uncle's early stuff, it's pretty close. In fact, they cut some stuff over at Sun, and they never have found the track since because they ended up winning the Ted Mack Amateur Hour and going with Coral Records, the label Buddy Holly and those guys were on. So it was like they went in and had their first recording session. It was like the story of Buddy Holly. It's like, we don't need this big orchestra here, man. We're just a 3-piece rock and roll band, rockabilly band. So they ended up actually doing the record, most of it in Nashville.
Yeah.
In fact, I ended up doing a commercial later on in my career for Owen Bradley, who produced that stuff on the Rock and Roll Trio.
Did a commercial for him?
I did a Pepsi commercial.
Oh, now tell me this. Really interested me. Like, it really piqued my interest. You were a spokesperson for Crown Royal
for a year.
Now, how did that happen?
They paid for my whole tour, and they paid for everything. And I had so much Crown Royal in the back of the bus. I think somebody
Sound like our band
became an alcoholic, and I got in trouble for that from his family. Said, "You ruined him."
Well, it just was all that free Crown Royal sitting around.
Free Crown Royal. The first person that was the spokesperson before me was Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
And he went to AA, so that didn't work good for Crown Royal. And I actually went to media school to where I can, in New York, and learned how to say Crown Royal as many times as I could during a tennis event, or because I would tour. It was called the Crown Royal Country Tour I was on.
Right.
And I was on all those shows, and we had everybody in the business on those shows,
Yeah.
And they had bought, while I was with them, they bought Godiva chocolate. And they bought the big champagne company, Perrier Jouet, or whatever it's called.
That one.
I should know all these
Well, the
names.
stuff goes down easy, and then when you're done, you get a cool purple bag to put your picks and drum keys in.
But I had champagne, and they deliver boxes to my house.
Champagne. Well, it does take some discipline in this business to stay on the somewhat straight and narrow, because everything is given to us for free. So we really have to have some discipline and some self-discipline. But what an amazing story, and I think it's such a great lesson for everyone out there. And I still feel like you're such a young man with so much left to accomplish. You've such a legacy, though, already. Covering the songwriting, covering the being a recording artist, and coming from rock and roll is in your DNA. I mean, you will always be part of the fabric of rock and roll when that story is told.
I like rock and roll too. I like Rockabilly a lot.
Yeah.
It's like a good Rockabilly band. There's nothing like it.
Yeah. Put me on the list somewhere of Nashville drummers, man. When you need a drummer, I want
we got to do that
I will
sometime.
rock. That would be fun.
He'll be one of the best you ever had.
I tell you what, now
Let's do it.
I'll do the homework for sure.
We'll do it for sure.
And I like the fact that he's easy to talk to.
Oh,
you know, it's like you've got a lot of license and equity to be kind of like, do you know who I am?
Yes.
But you're very approachable.
Have you read the history of rock?
Right.
I'm in the footnotes on every page. But no, you're just a wonderfully likable guy. Yeah. So that's some of the stuff that I talk about in my book. Because my book is part memoir and part self-help. So
It was something. I mean, especially with my dad and uncle. I mean, them coming from moving out to L.A. and then when Elvis hit it as big as he did, which changed the world. You know,
you bet.
It was like. I'll never forget us leaving from Memphis to L.A. one day, and It's Now or Never came on. My dad said to my mom, boy, he really can sing, can he?
You're right. Man.
That Elvis, he sure is pretty good.
Well, everybody check out BillyBurnette.net. Hey, it rhymes.
Yeah.
I like that. BillyBurnette.net. And you have just been a wonderful guest. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you so much, Rich. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful to have you here.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for subscribing, commenting, liking, sharing. We really do appreciate it. And keep coming back for the good stuff. We'll see you next time.
This has been The Rich Redmond Show. Subscribe, rate, and follow along at richredmond.com/podcasts.